I am a third culture kid, or TCK for short. And I like to think of myself as a grafted plant in the grand garden of cultures. You see, grafted plants are comprised of parts from different plants, in the same way that we TCKs have roots in one culture but grow up in another. That diversity is one of our greatest strengths. However, with such diverse parts comes the challenge of connecting them together. After all, the healthiest plants have the strongest connection to their roots. As TCKs, shouldn't we also form stronger connections to our roots? I am Filipino, and I came to the United Arab Emirates when I was only 7 years old. I am 22 now, and I've only gone back home 2 times. I have made the core memories of my life here, in a home away from home. In my time here, I studied in schools where the main language of instruction was English, and other languages taught in the curriculum were Arabic and French. My peers were from all over Asia. Our neighbors came from various parts of Africa and the Middle East. This diversity helps keep us TCKs open-minded. Every day, we get to meet new people who lead very different ways of life compared to ours. This exposure to diversity also helps keep us TCKs adaptable. Every day, we are encouraged to learn more about these people that we meet. And last but not least, this exposure to diversity helps keep us TCKs proactive. As we are encouraged to learn more about the people around us, it fuels our curiosity and fuels our need to form community, wherever we might be. I see it in the way that my friends and family so wholeheartedly share music in different languages, foods from different cuisines, and other cultural practices and traditions that we might have otherwise not known about. So, as you can see, I had grown up immersed in a myriad of beautiful cultures. But along the way, it started to feel like I had lost touch with my own. Now, I bring this up because of a recent experience I had with my brother in a cake shop. You see, the workers behind the till were Filipino, like us. And so I ordered in our native tongue, Tagalog. The conversation seemed to go well. However, when we got home, my brother laughingly relayed this interaction to our parents. How it was funny the way I had to switch between English and Tagalog phrases just to order a simple dessert. You see, in my head, the conversation went a little something like, Hi, I'd like to order a cake, please. Oh, yes, I'd love to add a candle. I think my parents would really appreciate that. Here's the payment. Thank you. But in reality, the conversation went a little more like, Hi, um, may I make to do an order for cake? For to add candle? Yes, good. Like, yes, parents like. Here's the payment. Thank you. So as you can see, there's a bit of expectation versus reality moment there. Losing a language means we risk losing a piece of our identity. This connection to our roots and this chance to form community. As TCKs, we thrive within diversity, but we also have our weaknesses. And this was mine. There are many reasons why one can lose touch with our native tongue, be it pressure to blend in, or simply the lack of interest and time to invest in learning something that feels so far away from us. Those who move abroad often do so in search of better work opportunities, a chance for a better life. And this often leads to us having a very limited amount of time to invest in building and cultivating a community, even if it is with others from our native culture. So that whole experience got me thinking, was this a part of my identity that I was willing to let go? The answer came to me in the form of my brother. Just the other day, I heard him listening to a podcast that was completely in Tagalog. And I was surprised because where I struggle to speak in Tagalog, he struggles to understand it. So naturally, I asked him why. And do you know what he said? He said, I simply want to learn. Over 80% of the UAE's population is from abroad. So most, if not all of us here, are global citizens taking part in the many different cultures around us. So while yes, there can be some hurdles in keeping touch with our roots, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't try. And so, I decided, moving forward, I also was going to invest more time in learning about the culture that I came from. In the same way that a gardener has his own set of tools in order to properly grow a plant, we TCKs have our own set of tools in order to better navigate our identities and form stronger connections to our roots. These tools come in the form of the 3 C's: collection, communication, and celebration. The first C, collection, refers to gathering more knowledge about our culture and where we came from. One way that works for me personally is by exploring my culture through the frame of my interests, a sort of way to bring familiarity into the previously unfamiliar. For example, I am an avid reader, and so I like to read short stories written in Tagalog, such as The Adorno Bird, which was a bedtime story that my father used to tell us. My brother, on the other hand, likes to listen to slice of life podcasts from Filipino content creators. And yet another friend of mine with a strong interest in history likes to collect historical books and accounts on the Philippines. This act of going beyond what we usually see and trying to understand the context behind our cultural practices then becomes a way to piece together the fragments of our cultural puzzle. But of course, collecting and gathering this knowledge is only one part of the picture, and it works best when paired with the next C, which is communication. Now, this C refers to reaching out to family members, perhaps elders, who are the living repositories of our culture's stories and traditions. It's not merely about sharing information with them, but about engaging in conversations that unveil the lived experiences of those who carried the torch of tradition before us. My closest connection to my roots are my parents. It is through them that I was primarily able to gather information about my culture. And the values of that culture bleeds into the lifestyle that they have raised us in. So while we are in a different environment, my parents have instilled in us the value of respecting our elders. One way that we do so is by making mano, sort of taking their hand and bringing it to our forehead to ask for their blessing. Another way that we do so is through the use of the honorific participle po, such as hello po, when greeting others, especially elders. Now, I may forget all the Tagalog words that I know, but I can never forget to address my elders using po. And even if I do, I know my parents will make darn sure that I remember right away. It is also through my parents that I primarily learned how to speak in Tagalog. Though broken it may be at times, it is with their help that we were able to reach out to more members of the Filipino community here and expand our circle of friends and family. And through that, we were able to learn not only about the cultural practices in our area of the Philippines, but in other different areas as well. This practice of reaching out, I noticed, has passed on to my brother and I. As TCKs, we are more open to cultivating new relationships and forming communities through our shared experiences. Which brings me to our third and final C, celebration. With knowledge gained and communities formed, all that is left is to celebrate what we have learned together. At the heart of every Filipino gathering is the delicious homemade food. Adobo, lugaw, sinigang. All of these foods carry a sense of home, no matter the physical distance. I am reminded of a dinner that we had a couple of years ago. Now, usually, it is tradition to have a Noche Buena the night before Christmas, a sort of grand feast to celebrate the coming of Christmas on the next day. However, that year, funds and money was tight, so we could not even afford to purchase groceries for that week. We would have to make do with whatever was left in the kitchen. I was particularly young back then, so I had a very specific fixation on a specific type of ham that was only sold during the holidays. But of course, we couldn't have it that year. Or so I thought. Do you remember the community I mentioned before? Well, they came through in the most miraculous of ways for my family that night. You see, one couple from that community had heard of our predicament. And that very same night, they had taken half of their groceries and shared it with us. Together, we cooked a hearty meal, sharing food and stories throughout the night. But that wasn't all. Lo and behold, amongst all of the groceries that they had shared with us, was the exact ham that my younger self was craving. Now that was truly a Christmas miracle. We all went to bed that night with full stomachs and even fuller hearts. Now, this culture of sharing is deeply embedded within the Filipino lifestyle. And that is a part of my culture, my identity, that I want to keep alive. This act of celebration then becomes a way to actively take part in and carry forward these customs and traditions that might have otherwise seemed distant or unfamiliar. Looking back, although I had lost touch with some aspects, I've come to realize that with the help of those around me, I was still able to nurture my culture through other customs and traditions. It's easy to get lost in the mix of cultures, but at the end of the day, we shouldn't forget who we are. After all, the more that we know ourselves, the easier it becomes to connect with others. And so, my fellow grafted plants, let us embrace our unique compositions. Let us collect, let us communicate, and let us celebrate. And with these tools, we will truly thrive in the diverse garden of life as third culture kids. Thank you.